Today is 7 March 2015, and sitting in front of the camera is Mr. Jim Pee Wee Martin. He was a member of G Company, 3rd Battalion, 506th Parachute Infantry Regiment, 101st Airborne Division, World War II, from 1942 to 1945. And we're going to ask him a series of questions that have been posed by young students from France.
Well, I had no intentions of going originally. I grew up listening to the stories of World War I veterans and what they went through, and I decided that I wasn't going to go. Because the country became very isolationist, we figured we had an ocean on each side, and we'd stay home. I was working in a defense industry, and Pearl Harbor happened, but that didn't change my mind at all. It was not a matter of staying and making money, it's just a matter that I wasn't going to go and be a part of it, and I didn't think we should go over and be a part of it. But after a while, they started drafting men up to 35 years old with 3 kids. And it'd be pretty bad for a young man with no family to stay home and see those guys go. You'd have to live with that the rest of your life, and I didn't feel I should. And then I saw that Hitler was really storming through Europe, and nobody, France and England together, did not have the capability of stopping him. So for those 2 reasons, I decided to volunteer and go. And I'm very happy that I did. And I feel very sorry for the people of my generation who did not go, because it's the greatest experience that anybody will ever have, and it will never happen like that again. I know of one soldier I killed in combat soon after I landed. A German soldier came around the corner of a house, and he turned and looked back around the direction he came, and I remember leveling my rifle at him and thinking that I was going to kill him, and he probably had a mother at home that felt the same way mine did, but I shot anyway. M1 rifle. The M1 rifle was a really good rifle. It was brand new. It replaced the Springfield bolt action. It was a very rugged combat weapon. You could throw it down the water in the mud and stamp on it, run over it with a vehicle, and would still fire. And I still think it's the best one. We have now these rapid firing ones that shoot at 223, but I've watched all the pictures of them. They don't aim at anything now, they just shoot them. It looks like they're shooting 100 rounds at a time. We didn't shoot unless we saw somebody to shoot at, and I still think that's the best way to do it.
Okay.
It didn't really bother us too much, because you'd be amazed at how many rounds they could fire at you and not hit you. But the shelling is just horrible. There's nothing you can do. You're really terrified, and you never get over that. When I looked out the door, I could see all these heavy caliber tracers coming up. There's so many of them that it looks like a solid string of fire, and they're all different colors. And when you look up there, and they're coming up through the floor of the plane, they're coming through the wings of the plane, you really just want to get out. But people have asked me, was I afraid at that time? None of us, I don't think, were really afraid. We were really fascinated, and we hadn't been in combat, so we weren't smart enough yet to be afraid. No. Slightly in Holland, artillery, a piece of artillery hit my foot and ankle, broke the bones. I'm very fortunate that that's all that happened. About 3 weeks. I don't really know how to describe it. It isn't a fear like you ordinarily do for things. It's a sort of an apprehension. You know that you could go at any time, and that's always in the back of your mind. But the main thing is, through your training, psychologically, you learn to accept that and go ahead and do your job. Absolutely. We got a shelling, and I was between two fellows, about 3 feet from each one of them. One of them, named Summerfield, had one arm almost blown off. He had a little skin holding it together. And the other one on my right side looked like he wasn't hit at all, but he was dead. And the medics told me later that he had one little piece of shell fragment went through his neck and severed the aorta, and he bled to death. Now, the fact that two of them were one wounded and one killed was not what bothered me the most. The most was the accuracy of the shelling. The shell that did this was about 3 feet away, and I'm telling you, you can't imagine what that's like. And here's one of them coming, and there's more coming in on you. That's probably the worst experience I had in the whole war. I lost my lieutenant, Chambliss, the first day in Normandy. And I'm not ashamed to tell you I broke down and cried because I respected him very much. And it was, to me, it was a useless thing. He stuck his head up over, and that's one thing we've been taught over and over and over. Do not do that. If you're going to check it, put your helmet on the end of your rifle and stick it up and see what happens. But he didn't. He stuck his head up 3 times in the same spot and got shot. Mm-hmm. The other one was a very close friend in the Battle of Bulge that he got killed one evening. And again, I did break down and cry, and I still feel badly about both of them. No.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I did not. Well, I'm very proud of it. And I think anybody that was there and participated in that should also be proud of it, because with the Australians, the Canadians, even the Russians, the French, and the English all together, we went together and rid the world of a tyrant. And yes, I'm extremely proud of that. Yes, I did, and I've kept track of them after the war, and I've since met them when we've gone over again. And, you know, Normandy is a farming or agricultural area, and so my background a lot was in farming too, and I relate to those kind of people very well, like them very well. I made a mistake once and said that Normandy was the friendly part of France, and somebody from Paris really jumped all over me because they felt that I shouldn't have said that, but it's true, Normandy is a friendly part of France. Probably the most shocking part was to see how many people got killed. Mm. And the second thing is, it was both shocking and amazing to me to go over a hedgerow and there's machine guns firing at you and you're running into it, and it's amazing how many people do not get hit. Hmm. That still amazes me, how much fire was coming toward us and still people managed to take the Germans without getting hit. It broadened my outlook on life very much, because before I went in, at the time we were just coming out of a depression. Very few kids had ever been out of the county in which they lived. We did study history, and I was very interested in history, particularly World War I. We talked about all of the different cities over there and the history of the building of the castles and all of that stuff. And here we are, young boys over there, and we're seeing this. We're seeing the history we studied. And my outlook on life became very broad because we were very provincial. We stayed within our own communities. We associated with people exactly like us. And here we are in an army where people came from all over the country, and almost every European country was represented in our communities. And now we're living that. We learn to get along with people. We learn to appreciate their viewpoint and what they went through, and it really broadened us out and made us better citizens.
Okay. C'est fini. Au revoir.